I wanted to show you a couple of things here. This is the Sony RX1. Excuse me. This is a full frame, compact camera, and this full frame sensor is essentially the same size as a piece of 35 millimeter film, or as a roll, I'm sorry, of 35 millimeter film. Let's look at the price here. $2,798. The D600 digital SLR. Now, for those of you, before you ask, there's a reason why I'm using these particular cameras. I know there are digital SLRs at cheaper prices, okay? $23.96. So you may as well say they break even at around $24. I'm going to say $2,500, right in the middle, okay? Then you have your memory card, 23 bucks. Then you have Photoshop. Now, I know not everybody out there uses Photoshop, but if you're really serious about your photography in terms of digital photography, you should be shooting RAW because it gives you more post-processing flexibility. The problem is, take a look at this. Annual plan for $50 per month. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to avoid privacy, but I remember back you can get a full copy of Photoshop, which cost you $700, but it was your copy. It was physical. It wasn't a download like this is. Now, how would you like it if I told you I've done some research about shooting film? And you're probably thinking, well, why would I want to do that? Actually, I grew up shooting film compact cameras. And having gained the experience that I have from manual control on my DSLR, I'd actually like to give film photography another go. I remember reading some articles. One of them talked about the smell of film, and I remember what those little film, they call them cassettes, but I always called them like cylinders or cans, you know? So little round things. I remember what they smelled like. I remember, you know, taking the film in, having it developed. I remember all those things. This is a film SLR. Now, this is actually the same or even better quality than a 35 millimeter computer chip on those $2,000 cameras, okay? This is $200. Here's another example. This is a Nikon FM10. Both of these cameras, by the way, they're made brand new. You can go to the websites, take a look at them. These are fully manual film SLRs. The only thing automatic about them is the exposure light meter, and that's actually really helpful because these are fully manual cameras, and it really helps to get an idea of what your exposure is going to look like. If it's going to be overexposed, underexposed. In other words, is it going to be bright or is it going to be dark? So having that meter really helps, but that's the only thing. And these button batteries last a good long while. You know, you don't have to charge them. You don't have to worry about corrupting memory cards or battery packs. And some of you are thinking, well, what about the cost of developing film? Or the cost of film itself, because digital is pretty much taken over, right? Well, for my personal use, what I'm actually thinking about doing, now the keyword's only thinking, I've only been pondering this, I might get into this someday, but at the moment I'm only looking at this as a possibility. $4.30 for a Kodak TX135 at ISO 400, black and white film. And you can actually develop the film yourself. $125 gets you a full development kit. And from what I've seen on YouTube, excuse me, if you go to the Art of Photography's channels, he's actually given some really nice videos on film processing. From what I understand, you could take a restroom, as long as there are no windows, or you could black out the windows, or my personal deal is to just do it at night. Do it at night, turn all the lights off, you know, and just develop your own film. And let's take a look at this, okay? So we'll say about $2,800 for a camera. Now this says 23, but let's take a look here. This is 27. This is only $300 off till the end of June, so that doesn't count. So $2,800. And then Photoshop. Now, the full copy of Photoshop, like I said, $600. So in total, you're spending around $3,000. Over time, you'd be spending $3,000 because of this membership, okay? But I'm looking at the full copy here. So $3,000 total. Let's compare that. So we'll take the Vivitar is $200. Now some have complained about the build quality on this, so that's why I included the Nikon. But personally, if I were to go for a film SLR, I would probably do this because it comes with the 50mm 1.7, so it's a nice fast lens, good for low light, and maybe some. They said that the 400 speed film can get some pretty good low light results, but I'd probably go with 800 just to be safe. So again, the Nikon is where's that price? Here it is, $310, $309. So $300 so far at the highest possible. So $300 plus $5 for a roll of film, so $305. And your development kit. So it's like $430 versus $3,000. And some of you are thinking, well, digital gives me, instant playback, and I can do whatever I want. This is true that you can shoot in RAW and post-process on your computer, but what you're really doing is tinkering with a bunch of zeros and ones. I'll have you know that one of my SD cards that I've been using for my talking books as of late has been corrupted. Talking books were not the only thing on there. There were some photos on there, and had they not been backed up in iPhoto, those photos would have been lost forever. Okay, and those were some pretty fond summer memories on that card. And, backup, you're going to say that. Well, guess what? That's even more cost because you're spending more on external hard drives to back all this stuff up with. Plus, which would you rather have? A card that can do 500 shots and allow you to click, 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 everywhere you see, click, click, click. Or would you rather have 24 shots, each of those only counts once, and you have to slow down and you have to think about what you are doing. You have to understand the exposure triangle, how all three, it's a balancing act. It's a three-way balancing act between shutter speed, aperture, and your film speed or ISO. Once you understand all three and how they balance out, and nobody's perfect, even as a hobbyist photographer, I'm still learning. Everybody's improving their technique, so nobody knows everything. So don't get this, whole high horse mentality. But slowing down and taking the time, to compose your shot, knowing that it's only going to count once, and also it makes you think of what you want to shoot in the first place, rather than shooting everywhere left and right. It helps you to save yourself for those truly unique moments. Also, another advantage of shooting film is the quality. Even a full-frame digital SLR sensor cannot compare to the quality of film. And it's not just the picture itself, it's the fact that it's a physical print. And, photo paper, that's even more expensive. So in a sense, the cost just keeps adding up, plus the time. And also, more than that, it's just the experience of slowing down and enjoying the art side of photography, of taking pictures. And then, when you're done, going into your own personal darkroom, whether it be at a restroom or someplace, big closet with some tables, whatever you have. If you have one, I'm saying if you have a walk-in closet with plenty of space where nothing could get spilled or damaged, as long as you have a place in your home without any visible light, or you're able to make a place without any visible light and knowing you won't be interrupted, there's just something about going in and actually doing it yourself. Now, have I done this? No. But I've been reading up on it and watching videos, and I would definitely like to get into it. Plus, once you're done with this, once you're done developing, it's permanent. Unless somebody breaks into your house and steals your hard copies. But, the chances are of your photos being wiped in a data crash, for instance, like what happened to my SD card, not going to happen. Because with the film, it's a physical copy. And just knowing that you got your hands dirty, because in a sense, what you're doing with digital is, like I said, you're manipulating a collection of zeros and ones, which at any moment, through a computer virus or what have you, you could even have your photo processing process, that was odd, be watched and not even know it, because of all the crazy, spyware stuff that's out there. Whereas with film, you're in a completely dark environment. You have to be. But you're in a completely dark environment. You lock the door so nobody comes into it and brings in unwanted light to expose the film. And it's just you and the process. It helps to turn back time, as it were. Shooting with one of these older film cameras, I mean, I've got a couple of digital cameras here that are obsolete, completely obsolete. Whereas with these film cameras, as long as there's film for them, they'll be good. And it just seems to me like it's a good way to get away from the rush type of mentality that we find ourselves in this day and age. And it's just something that I would like to explore. But that's basically why I'm thinking about one of these days. Now, I'm not saying right away, but I'd like to definitely one of these days, have a look at film photography. Maybe if I can. The keywords are if I can, because a lot of things are up in the air right now because I'm still working on my master's. But if everything works out, keyword if everything works out, my hope is to go, pick up one of these old film cameras, get some film, go out every weekend and shoot, roll maybe 24, 25 exposures, come back and take the evening to develop them, and in the next morning I go to sleep, let them dry, wake up the next morning to some beautiful pictures. And part of the fun of film is wondering what you're going to get. Because you don't get the instant gratification, it does teach you patience. It teaches you to be patient, but it's also exciting because I remember I would get the prints back from when I was younger. We would visit places and we would get the prints back, and you never know what you're going to get. It's a complete surprise. But anyway, that's why I'm thinking about about shooting film. It's one last thing. I completely forgot about this. Because of the mechanics, you don't have to worry about charging batteries. You don't have to worry about your battery completely dying on you. If you're going to be out, let's take this as an example. If you're going to be out camping for a few days, and you're not going to have access to a charger, I'd honestly prefer to bring one of these film cameras because for a fact that they're not going to go out on you. Like I said, these button cell batteries, they last a really, really long time. And, and all you need is a nice roll of film, maybe two, and you can get a changing bag. Or you could do, like I said, you could do what I do. What I would do is just wait until the sun goes down, wait until it's pitch black in your tent and you can't see a thing, and change the film then. But no, that's basically why I'm thinking one of these days probably about taking up film. But what do you guys think? I'd like your input. Thank you for watching.